This week on the Stereo Image, we're going to talk to my friend Russ Gold. Russ was nice enough to come on and chat with us when we were just deciding how we wanted to do a podcast and what we wanted to do and how I wanted to sound. And our great producer, Jennifer Zabo, who keeps everyone in line, runs the whole thing. We just decided we wanted to get someone on and just give it a shot. And Russ, I've known again for 40 years plus, is one of the most talented percussionists and drummers that I've ever had the joy to work with. And he's had an incredible career with the American Repertory Theater and doing a bunch of stage shows. And he's a great educator, wrote some of the books that they use at Berklee College of Music, and a really, really fun, interesting guy. So here's Russ Gold on the Stereo Image, our first try at a podcast. All right. And we're back with another episode of something we haven't named yet. This week, we're talking to drummer, percussionist extraordinaire, Russ Gold, one of my oldest friends from nigh on over 40 years ago.
Holy shit. I'm only 35 years old. I'm not sure how that works.
I don't know. I think we knew each other way back.
Yes, back in the womb.
So welcome, Russ. Thanks for coming on and regaling us with tales of musicianhood.
Well, I have to come up with some fun stuff now, evidently.
Well, I'm going to just lead you in a few directions. I met you at Berklee College of Music.
Yes, sir.
And I think it must have been around 82 or 83.
I graduated in 84, so that's about right.
Oh, yeah. So maybe 81. But so you were one of the rarefied signed artists. What was it like being on a major record label in a band back then?
It was amazing that you could get signed playing jazz fusion music back in the day. You know, we were in a super hardworking band. We actually got a development deal from CBS. They were paying us to practice, if you can imagine.
No.
So we would get together 5 days a week and just bang out these tunes and irritate each other and argue, and it was delightful. There's 2 Norwegians and a Swede, a Miami Jew, and a guy from Detroit. And so of course they all picked on me.
Well, sure.
And so, you know, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, but the one guy wrote all the tunes, this guy Carl Lundeberg, and brilliant composer. And he called all the shots. So there was a naturally inbred kind of power imbalance there that made it fun and exciting. So, but it was really cool. We traveled a lot, went to Spain, we went to Norway and Sweden, and played for the kids.
Well, the first record I'm well aware of. Did they do a second? Did you guys do a second album?
We did a second. They did a third that I'm not on. They actually they fired me while I was on tour with West Side Story in Germany. That was fun. And of course, there's more to the story on that.
Well, should we know that?
There are lawsuits pending.
Good.
You know, I think I decided before you call it, I'm just going to go ahead and just spill whatever beans I have left. But, you know, I was, 22-year-old hotshot asshole. And I'm sure I was very difficult to get along with at that point, which I'm only slightly less difficult to get along with now, only because I just don't have as much energy to be a dick to people. Hormones and all. Sure. But so it was rough going. There was one guy that wrote all the tunes. I was kind of the hotshot drummer kind of coming out of Berklee, so I thought I knew everything. And pardon?
You did.
Well, I did, in fact, but that didn't help matters with the other guys in the band because they also thought they knew everything.
Sure.
And it was a room full of really, really talented people. So you can imagine there was a lot of egos involved getting thrown around. And but at the end of the day, we got signed, which was amazing. While I was on the road, they decided they rather have another drummer, even though we spent a lot of time and money doing a partnership agreement with a very high-powered CBS lawyer, which didn't do fuck all for us. Basically, just we spent a lot of money for nothing. Like, what is that for? If it doesn't protect me, it doesn't protect the partnership, they just were like, okay, you're out of the band. And not only that, but all that money that you spent producing the demo, you're not getting that back. So I had to sue them. And then during the lawsuit, my lawyer joined their lawyer's law group. No conflict of interest there.
No.
Yeah, incredible.
Oh my gosh.
So out of the, I don't know, maybe $8,000 I put into the band, I think I got 1,500 back. And it basically, don't let the screen door hit you in the ass on the way out.
You got a bunch of free CDs out of it.
Oh, actually, no, I did not. That was back in the CBS days. You don't get a lot of free. Like since then I recorded, years later, I was a band, really great fusion band called Homeopathy. I think I have like 50 CDs left from that. And that was maybe 20 years ago. So
wow.
Yeah, they're basically just taking up space in the garage.
Yeah, I know. I used to say they were blocking the way to my bathroom. Have I have a few boxes of CDs, but funnily enough, or strangely enough, a lot of my CDs I have one copy of that's mine, and I don't have any more, and no way to get them.
You're better off for it.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I try to give CDs away. Like somebody comes to the show and I say, "Hey, would you like our new CD? It's Jeff Hamilton and Penn and me." And they say, "What am I going to play that on?"
Yeah, exactly.
Was it on Spotify? Well, yeah, that's where I get all my money.
Yeah, you can chase the crows away from your garden with them, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, they make nice drink holders. Coasters. They're a good size, but it's nice to see our life's work reduced to nothing. But that's that. I mean, that's a somewhat horrific tale. But
it was irritating as hell. But I probably, if I had one testicle, I would have quit the band much earlier than I did. I was sticking it out, even though it was not fun and I was not getting along with anybody. I thought it was going to go somewhere,
right.
Which it kind of all the going already happened by that point. And now we were just getting, spinning our wheels. The interesting thing about that band, we gigged constantly until we got signed. And then we hardly gigged at all. We did a lot of like high visibility. They flew us to San Francisco, actually, from Boston to do a big CBS showcase. They flew us to New York. Mm-hmm. So all these big splashy showcases. And then after that, we had William Morris is our agent. We had David Sonnenberg was our manager, who was like this big R&B, very big time Grammy winning manager. And they did nothing for us other than David. Oh, I probably should say any of this, but who cares? He was really good at upping the budgets for the recording projects so he could pocket big percentages. Right. Other than that, really nothing happened in terms of him really getting it. In fact, I remember we had a meeting at his office and he said, guys, I just don't understand this music. I don't. So it's like he basically said, he was basically saying, guys, please fire me.
Yeah.
Because I don't like you.
Yeah. What is this noise you're making? That's what you want in a manager.
And the funny thing is, he what kind of as a side, he said to me, you should move to New York. You could get a lot of work. I could get you some stuff. So I actually drove. He wouldn't return my calls after that. So I drove to New York, got a meeting with him, sat down, and we had a very feel-good meeting with him, and that was amazing. Which that's what he's really good at. Then about a month went by, nothing. So I called. His secretary answered the phone, and I'll never forget that. She goes, "Russ, there's just no interest." That's like that. Yeah. So I don't hear that shit.
Just some
of my business
here. But no, that's I mean, it's funny though. I mean, coming from a guy that was around you at the time, you certainly never experienced. You were never less than a really sweet, great guy and fun to play with. I saw none of the ego. We just knew you could play and lay the shit down, and and it was not like you were, those little cliques that they had at Berklee where there were all the guys that dressed like the cover of a Miles Davis album in 1958, with their Brooks Brothers suits. And, and it was great because you were like open to everything.
Nice.
And, and,
I appreciate that.
but I remember when I think we may have been at the Ritz,
Yes.
that gig there when the first Full Circle album came out, but or maybe
Right. I remember we were in the commissary in the basement of the Ritz, and I handed you the album. And the funny thing about the album, the logo, the full circle, the C was like an O. It said, "Oh, full oikel. Looks good." And I'm like, "Oh, you son of a bitch."
That was me. Boy, speaking of the Ritz, how about that in cafeteria? Man, was
That
that
was scary shit.
it was great. I mean, every cop in Boston would go up there to eat free food. They would bring up, they had if you didn't like what they were serving, which were like 4 different entrees, then they would make you a Ritz burger, which was at the time was like $15 in the street bar. And this is 1981, 86.
Very good.
And then they would bring up, they had this I still see I knew I should call this thing something about food. They had this prime rib hash that they served in the street bar, and they would bring it up after, if not ever.
Wow.
And it was, the food was amazing. And yeah, do we do that whole run with Blobner, or is he?
No, Pete Katrimas.
Oh yeah, Pete, yeah.
That was the best, man. Pete was awesome.
Yeah. He's a great player.
Blobner did it for a while, and then Pete came in, and then I think I got fired, or we all got fired, or something happened. And then I started playing with that other cat, the older guy.
Al Vega or whatever was that?
No. It was the guy that was doing the tea dances, and then he ended up getting the kind of the jazz. And I did a duo thing with him without a bass player for a bit.
Oh, really?
And that was miserable.
I don't remember him. I mean, I know somebody did it, but
I was like, chasing after all the waitresses there, and
yeah, I remember
having a good old fashioned time.
Yes, you were. You were a role model. Contreras, he's still got his studio in wherever it is, south of Boston.
Good.
And does a lot of projects, and I named his studio, which was PBS, Pete's Basement Studio.
Very good.
And I said, you get a lot of money from the publicity from the lawsuit. And they did.
That's public broadcasting. They're very litigious.
Oh yeah.
They have a lot of money to throw around for that.
They got that Muppet money. But so other than that, so meanwhile, okay, so you get out of Berklee, you're kicked out of the band unceremoniously.
Yep.
What led you to the musical theater stuff that you are so?
I'd always been interested in that. Even in high school, one of the first things I did was I remember I played. A funny thing happened on the way to the Forum at Miami Palmetto Senior High, and
Nice.
it was very fun. There were a lot of girls involved, which made it extremely interesting. And I remember at the end of the whole thing, the band director, who was a real hard ass, everybody loved this guy, Alan Fetterman. He was an amazing role model to me, worked his ass off and expected everybody to be on their toes. Everybody was afraid of him, and it was great. They all loved him. He came up to me after the whole thing, and he said, "Russ, you did a really great job. That was very professional." And my head exploded. I couldn't believe it. Was like I was on cloud 9. So I knew there was something there. I liked the variety of it, and it was fun.
Well, and I mean, then you went to the ART,
right? American Repertory Theater. That was really through Carl, the guy that wrote the music for Full Circle. He wrote music for a show that Julie Taymor produced called King Stag. The Julie Taymor of Lion King and Spider-Man and whatnot.
Yep.
So he got us involved in that. That was really cool. And that show I ended up touring the world with.
I remember you talking about it back then. And it was like years of work, right? I mean,
years of work. It kept coming back. It was great. I went to Russia, Taiwan, all over Europe. It was
Fun.
really exciting, and they flew us to California from Boston to play as well, up in La Jolla.
When did you move out west?
92, I got a call from a friend of mine from Berklee, who I'd
Mhm.
played with back in the day, this guy, Bill McPherson.
Oh, yeah.
And he called me out of the blue. Now, mind you, I didn't have really anything going on in Boston at that point. I played in a really great band called Natraj, that was this kind of Indian jazz music fusion
I
band.
I remember
And
seeing posters on telephone poles,
right,
you
a lot
know.
of rehearsing,
And
very few gigs, $0.
yes, yeah.
So
Was
it
it
was gratifying musically, but it was no career. It was very hard to have a career. The thing about Boston, talent is cheap there. There's so many music schools, so many musicians. It's really hard to have any kind of career there.
right?
And it's cold and it's, whatever.
You know.
It's Boston. Yeah. I'm telling our listeners at this point.
Yes.
So, recapping the joys of Boston in the 80s.
Don't parking tickets.
Oh my God. So anyway, so Bill called me up and he said, how would you like to join my Afropop fusion band in San Diego? And before he had finished the sentence, I hung up the phone, packed my shit, and got out of Salt. I was like, hell yeah, I want to get out of Boston.
Yeah.
So drove to San Diego and started my business there.
Wow.
And that was really fun. It was a huge culture shock. The thing about Boston is that people don't really go, or this back in the day, they didn't really go see music to enjoy themselves. They would go to judge you, to
Right.
get blotto and get laid.
Well, that's why you see music.
Well, yes, that is true. Not so much the blotto part, but the getting laid was my prime directive at that point. No wonder I didn't get more gigs. But I should have been practicing. I was, going through my black book. But it was amazing. Being in San Diego was incredible. This guy was amazing. He had 3 different bands, all with the same personnel. There was an Afropop band, a blues band, and a top 40 band. So we just worked like every night. It was great.
Right.
There was never any scheduling conflicts because everybody was in the same band.
Right. Oh, that's very cool. And then when did you get out of there? When did you leave San Diego?
That's about 95, I think. I drove up. I ended up joining this reggae band, a really, really bad reggae band. And we toured around a little bit, and it was just like one of those deals where they were looking for a drummer. I went and checked them out at some point. I thought, wow, these guys are not great, but they're working all the time. And all of a sudden things kind of dried up for me and I needed a gig. So I joined them. We started touring around and eventually came up to San Francisco, and it was like, oh, this is it. So yeah, so I loaded up the car again and moved up to San Diego, and here I stay.
Right. Now, mostly you're still doing, obviously you're still doing theater stuff, and you're doing what other projects are happening?
Gosh, there's a bunch of different bands I play in. There's my own band called the Southern Soul Survivors that I put together before the pandemic. That kind of
Good timing.
fell apart with everything else fell apart for musicians. And unfortunately, our lead singer moved out of the area. But it was a really great band. We had a couple gigs went well. So what else? Nothing. A lot of theater. I play in a fun function band called Radio Gatsby with some really fine players. It's kind of a swing band, but we do R&B and stuff too. Some great jazz soloists in the group.
Excellent.
So that keeps it interesting.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about the teaching stuff, and obviously, as I said before, I've worked on this intro all day that you wrote the book on how to play jazz drums or how to play drums, and you did indeed write a book for that.
I did indeed. Yeah, it's called Phrasing Advanced Rudiments for Creative Drumming, which is a ridiculous, cumbersome title.
Rolls off the.
One of my students is the owner of Chronicle Books, and he's worked with Mickey Hart and a lot of other musicians to write their books. So I kind of collaborated with him and used his suggestions to a very nerdy, clunky sounding title. But it's effective, and it tells what the book's all about.
Right, exactly. I'm assuming that you've got some deal going with Berklee where they have to every student has to buy one.
I wish that would have been a smart thing to do. Yeah. I don't spend enough time in Boston to twist arms to get that to happen. So,
Well, then.
I was going to, well, first of all, I want to brag that I just got finished playing Wicked when it was in
Oh,
town. That was really cool. Played at the big Orpheum Theater in San Francisco.
nice.
And that was brutally difficult and really gratifying.
Excellent. And that's, and I'm sure you'll be first in line to see the movie.
Yes, yeah, I'm actually pretty interested. I think it'll be fun. It looks like it's going to be a good movie.
Well, yeah. I'll be waiting for it. But
I know what a fan of music theater you are.
you know, I love it. I don't have any problem with music theater right up until Pippin.
Yeah, pooping.
And then it starts to go downhill for me. And boy, when we were on Broadway, Penn's wife, Emily, we were there through my birthday. Hamilton was the hottest ticket in town.
Mm-hmm.
And she secured tickets, and went and saw it 2 or 3 times, and wanted to buy me an individual ticket to sit by myself on my birthday on our night off to watch Hamilton. And I said to her as politely as I could, I would rather hack off my left arm with a cleaver than shit. And I'm sure it's great, but it's the kind of thing that makes my skin crawl. And yeah. I would enjoy one measure of it, And she's like, it's revolutionized musical theater. It's a whole new thing. I said, I don't care. It's, it's like, what I don't like calves liver. I do not like liver to eat. Yeah. And, it's the best liver you've ever had. Have all of it. I don't want it, So I passed on that. Not to say anything bad against Hamilton. I'm sure it's genius, but I don't like people prancing about a stage and singing.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, I like good singers. Broadway thing to me is always a little too contrived. And
it is completely contrived. You gotta get over the format of it. Yeah. I enjoy playing it more than seeing it.
I would think so. In my high school, I was the MD on all the plays, and we did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we did like Themes at Sea and South Pacific.
Oh, wow.
I forget the other 2. I was there 4 years. Pippin was the last one. Mm-hmm. But I mean, and I got it. And the guys that were in the pit were all guys from the Buffalo Philharmonic, and they were great players. But I can't imagine. It's not my seat. No. But I'm being as politically correct as I can.
No, don't bother.
Anyways, well, so you're just living the musician's dream, playing as much as you want, and the money rolls in. And
I just feel really fortunate to, the money comes in feast or famine. Yeah. But it's really, I have to thank my wife a million times over that she scrimped and saved while she was on the road, bought a condo, then she sold that, and we moved into this place together down in South San Francisco. So we had a big enough of a down payment that our nuts not that
great
cover between the two of us.
Well, anyways, back to the teaching stuff too. Yeah. So do you have like a bunch of students that you?
It comes and goes. I used to teach after school, and I did that for about 10 years. I had a lot of students. I taught like 3 days a week, 10 students a day, something like that. It was a lot. I was very popular, and I just got burned out, really. Yeah. It was very wealthy school, and a lot of it was really just babysitting.
Right.
Just glorified. Here, you just, bang on these drums for a half hour. All right, see you next week. Yeah. I just got really bored with that. Yeah. So now that I have the book, I can kind of focus students that are more interested in really specifically what I'm doing, what I'm offering, and not just, I enjoy beginners, but I don't like to babysit. I don't like kids that don't really want to be there, and it's just wasting everybody's time.
A horrible experience teaching. After Berklee, there was a little place up in Methuen, and I had something like 25 students. And, one would practice, right. And I didn't last long. I was like, I did it in high school too. When my teacher left town, I took over his students, And they all actually seemed to have, maybe because it was a bigger music store, a big organ and piano store that was
Hmm.
spectacular. Maybe they were all a little more serious about it. But,
Hmm.
but up there, it was just like, kids didn't give a shit. They just
Yeah,
wanted
yeah, yeah.
to play
Yeah, I
something.
mean, it's for me, as long as they're paying attention while they're at this at the lesson, then I'm pretty happy.
Mhm.
A lot of kids that, they have a lot of other activities, and
Right.
the school's really demanding, so
Right.
I understand that it's not going to matter as much to them as it does to me. But as long as they're like actually engaged while they're in front of me and paying attention and trying hard, I just
Yeah.
don't like it when it's clear they don't want to be there. But
Yeah.
I don't, you know some kids practice and it's great. I've kind of given up expecting kids to practice.
Mhm. Mhm. And how often do you hit them?
Every lesson I give them a
Good.
good smack. I have actually an electric cattle prod that I hit them with.
Oh, that's nice.
That
That's the.
In fact, it's no wonder I have more students than I have. But
Occasionally, I like to slam down the key cover over their hands
oh,
while playing, just to,
good.
just to give them a
Yeah,
little taste of life.
I do have these wooden rods that I'm flailing
Yeah,
around with. So if
good,
one of them
good.
accidentally takes a sideways
It
hit,
happens.
and it'll get their attention.
well, well, all right. Well, now another topic to cover in the amazing. Well, we haven't even gotten to the stuff I wanted to talk to you about.
I have a feeling I know what you were going to bring up, but go ahead.
But no, we were gonna. Well, I'm sure you think it's some kind of weird sexual thing, but it's not.
Well,
Um,
there's that. There.
oh,
I'm always thinking that, actually,
well,
but
sure,
that's not
sure.
what I.
Well, but in what I want to ask you about your photographs.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
you're a big camera guy as well as I'm an amateur camera guy, but you're a real guy. Um, what got you into that?
I've always been into it. My father had an Nikon F1 when I was a
Yeah.
kid, and he used to let me screw around with it, and I fell in love with it right away. It's just
Mhm.
funny enough, I just knew what to do as soon as I picked it up. It was
That
clear to me how it worked and what I wanted to kind of. It was
right.
a cool toy, and I just kept messing around with it, and I love it because I there's no expectation of anything. I just do it because I love to do it.
Yeah, same here. But you have like a photo site and
I do.
you out prints and all that kind of stuff.
I've actually sold some prints for the first time of, like whatever the 50 years I've spent,
Yeah,
taking pictures, whatever, filling up memory cards.
nice.
And yeah, and I've actually done a couple headshot sessions now, and I did a senior graduation session.
Ah,
So
very
there's
nice.
actually some dollars came my way from that
Oh,
through a camera.
well,
Gosh, I'm all nervous. This is hard. It's hard to do this.
yeah. You think how do you think I feel? Uh,
I
uh, well, now let's get into the meat of it. What got you into being a musician? What happened? What horrible thing happened in your
really,
childhood
yeah, who
that
hurt me?
put down this path?
Um, I, you know, I remember when I was a little kid, my parents took me to some type of country club deal. It may have been even in the Catskills. I don't remember. I was so young. But I remember there was a band performing. I was like maybe 5 years old. There was a band performing with a drummer. And I remember standing, little Russ, my head barely got to the top of the stage, standing in front of those drums, just going, holy crap, look at that guy. It just seemed like magic what the guy was doing. I just couldn't believe it. Just seemed so cool. Then a couple of years later, I had a friend who had a toy drum set in his basement. And once again, it was like that man, I would never get tired of that toy. You let me play it. And I'm like, I've got to have one of these. This is the coolest thing ever. So whatever weird ass reason, I was just super attracted to it right off the bat.
Um, it's funny. I have a sort of similar experience in terms of. I mean, I started taking lessons at a stupid young age because we had two-player pianos in my house.
Hmm.
I would sit there and watch the keys go up and down. And my brother, who was 5 years older than me, took lessons. And so when I was 3, they shipped me off to the local piano teacher. And so I had by the time I think it was probably 5, 6 or 7, we went to a wedding. Like my parents had friends that were going to get married or something. And there was a live band. And I had never seen a live band.
Oh,
And
wow.
stuff only came out of the things you put on the tourney thing, you
Right.
know.
So the spinning deals.
Yeah, and so I didn't know, and it was just the same thing. It was like magical to me. I couldn't believe that. How are they making this sound
Mhm.
in this room? And that's But I mean, I think third grade, I was already like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I want to be a musician because you don't have to get up early. You know, I mean, I hate getting up early in the morning,
Oh
and I
yeah.
still don't. I mean, and that, but so I'm assuming you what the route we all did was you got some lessons
Yeah,
and
right off the bat. I remember um I went to a music appreciation thing. This is in Great Neck, New York, when I was a little kid, and I kind of advanced through that. And I remember at one point there was like I was super young, maybe 7 years old, something like that. And there was this rhythmic exercise all the class was doing, and the teacher said, "Look at that kid! Look at Russ! Look what he's doing! He's doing it the right way." And I'm like, "Oh shit!
okay,
Okay,
yeah, I got this.
pretty
Oh,
good."
nice.
And
You know,
then I was getting ready to enter junior high in
uh,
Miami. We finally moved to Miami. And my mom was like, okay, for the summer, you can take music lessons. You can take trumpet or saxophone or guitar or drums or flute. Well, I'm like, drums! Oh my God, yes! So I jumped on my bike and rode as fast as I could to the school, thinking, what? Everybody's going to want to play drums. I better get there now because there's
right.
going to be a long line. It's going to be a lot of demand. I was the only guy there. And so I signed up, and that was that. I had really, really good music departments in junior high and high school. I was very lucky. I mean,
Yes.
I was talking about my high school band director. We had an amazing music department. Yeah, our orchestra was like, I went from high school in Miami to University of Miami, and our orchestra in high school just kicked the ass of the University of Miami
Wow.
orchestra. It was amazing.
Yeah, I had a different experience.
Yeah.
Uh, we had no band, we had no anything in junior high or high school. As a matter of fact, when I got to high school as a freshman, the priest that had been running the music department left the priesthood. I wound up taking over his classes.
Holy crap.
I
Wow.
was so I'm a freshman teaching seniors, you know, Catholic school, St. Martin's Grammar School and Bishop Timon High School. And there was no money in the budget even back then for a
Right.
music department, or there was no band, there was no orchestra. So that's one of the reasons why I like doing the musical so much was because I got to play with other people, you know.
Yeah.
So now the other idea that we're taking in this podcast is what kind of music do you listen to yourself? And I know you can get off easy by just saying, well, everything. I like everything.
No,
But
I don't say that. I
what,
don't listen to everything. I
what,
hate it when people say that.
but I mean, not what kind of music, but like what you're not playing and not touring and not performing. What do you put on? How is it figure in your life?
Podcasts.
Uh-huh.
Other than people talking, what kind of music do I listen to?
Yes.
I've been listening. Well, it depends. I go through phases. I listen to a lot of jazz. I've been listening lately to the new Keith Jarrett release. That's the second album from the Deerhead Inn
Oh, I didn't.
concert.
Yeah.
It is really good.
Shot.
Man, he takes an unaccompanied solo in "I Fall in Love Too Easy" that is, I've listened to it like 10 times already.
Wow.
Just that one track is incredible playing.
Well,
So great. It's just like this harmonic journey he takes you
yeah.
on. It's really
Well,
incredible.
I will tell
And
you.
Paul Motian is killing on it.
Well,
Drunk.
yeah. I I will tell you the two of the most incredible nights of music that I ever saw live were both his trio with
Oh,
Jack
wow.
and
Cool.
Peacock. In once I think it was once at Art Park in New York.
Uh,
Uh, Even though he had his own tuning hammer on stage and was mad that the one fucking note kept going out of tune, stopped in the middle.
oh,
You know,
no. In the
yeah.
middle of the whole thing. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And then he walked off stage, and then the tuner came out, and they retuned it,
Oh,
and then he
beautiful.
made it like most of the way through the second set. But then at the end of he actually said, "What a piece of shit." It was a styling night for
Nice.
me. There was, but one note was fucking falling out of tune on him.
Uh,
One of the unisons. Anyways, but it was still an incredible night. And then about 10 years later, I saw him in Toronto, and it was the same thing. It was
Wow.
totally different repertoire. I mean, all standards, but I think I was like holding my breath for the 2 hours. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It was everything was
yeah.
was literally he's walking this tightrope.
Yeah.
It's just so heavy, and Jack is just
Oh, Jack's my guy.
and I mean, and people used to bitch to me. I mean, bass players, but they're not really people. They used to bitch all the time about Gary Peacock being out of tune. His intonation isn't that great and stuff. His what he added to that group was every bit as heavy as what Scott LaFaro added to Bill Evans's
Right.
group. The interplay, the ideas, the finishing phrases, the time, everything was so heavy. It's really
there's so much going on between Jack and Keith Jarrett that it's you gotta pick your battles there. But that's why this album is interesting. The Deerhead Inn, to hear Paul Motian play with those guys, because Paul Motian is like Jack DeJohnette, but like by a third.
right.
He's got that super creative, because he's a composer as well, and you can hear that he's hearing the whole picture as he's playing.
Right.
And he's got no licks. He's not a very drummy kind of drummer.
No.
But he leaves a lot of space. And so Gary Peacock's playing a lot more. He's playing a lot more aggressive. He's swinging harder. And it's a different kind of vibe, really. It's great.
Right. Well, I'll get it. I'll definitely listen to it.
It's good.
My one little story about it has nothing to do with I don't know it, but Jack DeJohnette. So there was this great magician, Johnny Thompson, who out of Chicago, who was the dean of American magicians until he passed away a couple of years ago. He worked a lot on Penn and Teller stuff, and every Topperfield, everybody went to him. He was on the Sullivan Show. Before he was a famous magician, he was a harmonica player, and he was in the harmonica.
I've heard of this guy.
But he had a band in Chicago. He was doing magic and stuff at the Playboy Club, but he had a jazz band. He was a huge jazz fan, and his piano player was 18-year-old Jack DeJohnette.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's amazing. And it's funny, strangely enough, Jack DeJohnette just put out a couple of solo piano albums or something.
Yep, I knew that.
That was his first instrument.
Awesome.
And so I know that was pretty nuts. And I'm talking to Johnny one day, and I mentioned Jack DeJohnette. Hey, he used to play piano for me. I'm like, what?
That's incredible.
Yeah. He knew everybody. I mean, Oscar, he knew, and I said, I was talking to Eddie Higgins. He was a piano player at the London House. He was the house piano player. And he was the most working piano player in Chicago. He had the gig at the London House, and he had the gig at the Playboy Club.
Nice.
And he had the club pianist on Playboy After Dark and all that stuff. Anyways, he turned down Blakey to play in the Jazz Messengers.
Wow.
Everyone's response was like, why would you do that? Right?
Really?
So I was on a jazz cruise with him once, and we got to be really friendly, and it was real nice. And I said, I got to ask you, I'm sure you've been asked it a million times, but I've got to ask, what the fuck were you thinking turning down the Jazz Messengers? And he said, well, wait, I would have been the only white guy. And he said, I would have been the only non-junkie, and I would have had to take a huge pay cut. And I had a wife and kids.
Yeah.
So, so at the time, it was, when you look back in history and you're like, oh, I guess, maybe that wasn't the greatest gig in the world, which you think it would have, but Eddie was a great player. And
he had all those steady gigs. He didn't want to leave his there.
And it's funny, he was dear friends with Oscar too. And one of they put out this big box set, of Oscar at the London House, which are all those records, the trio and live in Chicago, and all those, they were all recorded there. And at one time, Oscar's leaving, going off the set, and they let the tape run a little bit longer on this reissue. And he says, we'll leave you in the incredibly capable hands of Eddie Higgins, and
nice.
And I called Eddie when that came out, and he's since passed. But he was like, yeah, I'm getting famous. Well, but no, so you listen to that, but do you listen to any pop music these days, or anything on the radio, or,
radio? What's that?
Yeah, it
No,
was
I don't listen to any pop music at all.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I listen to Lewis Cole. You know
Oh.
Lewis Cole? And Lewis Cole in a band he has called Nowhere. That's amazing stuff. He's a drummer composer. You got to check him out. He is incredible.
All right.
He writes orchestral music, and he's kind of like Brian Wilson meets Prince.
Really?
Yeah, he's incredible.
All right.
Super talented.
I'll
Lewis
check.
Cole, yeah.
Penn was telling me about this guy that does a lot of film music that does this crazy stuff. And his name is Colin Stetson.
Oh, do you know him?
Check him out. A lot of weird, a lot of very like crazy bass clarinet type stuff.
Oh, wow.
But maybe he's got bands that play really out shit, and then he's also got his film scoring career, which
Bass
is
clarinet is completely crazy and unnecessary, so I'm not surprised.
I've gotten to a point in my life where I can honestly say that I haven't listened to pop music in years. I mean, there's nothing, it's made for teenagers. And
I mean, I'm an official old guy where I hear pop music and it doesn't even sound like music to me.
Yeah, it's different. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not what I mean. And I find myself like, if I want to hear something that makes me feel good, I'll put on a Benny Carter album, 1956. You know what I mean? And I can grasp it. I can understand it. I can relax and enjoy the genius of a young.
It's a Sinatra. I listened to a lot of these old Sinatra with big band albums.
Yeah.
There's a great Dean Martin album that I listened to called "Now We're Swinging." I think it's called.
Yeah,
it's basically Sinatra's band with Dean Martin singing.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
so great. Just the band is so killing. It's so relaxed and musical and
so many. Yeah, that's the thing that I think so much is missing nowadays is there's no musicality in the music. Once you quantize the fucking beat, you're taking all the life out of it, you know? And well, do you know the Wham of Sam? You know that album?
No.
Sammy Davis?
Oh no, I don't know that one.
Do yourself a favor and check that out.
I will.
Because he does a version of Begin to Begin that's just him and congas.
Oh, cool.
It's like 7 minutes long. Do you have anything else you want to promote?
No, I got nothing else. Unless I'm playing at a big synagogue in Kalamazoo on Friday, so that's exciting.
Excellent. Well, we'll all make it out.
All the Jews in Kalamazoo come out and party.
We'll send Ed McMahon out to see you.
Good.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. This was really fun. And
it's my pleasure. I feel like there's a lot of stories we didn't get to. I wanted to just talk about the vomiting dowager in the Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah, I know. Well, this will have you back for another episode of with more concentration on the performing side of our partnership.
Here's the stories.
Yes, exactly. Yes, Michael Abbott. But we got stories. All right. Well, thank you so much, Russ.
Thanks, Mike. It was really fun.